you for downloading my collaborative morning template, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video, which is just going to very briefly tell you how to use it. I am Lauren O'Carroll. I am a peaceful parent coach. I'm certified with Dr. Laura Markham, and I have specialised in helping parents with ADHD and parents with neurodivergent kids. So it is lovely to have you here. The reason I've created this routine is I know how hard it is to get your family into a routine, and I really hope that this is going to help you to help your family, make it easy for you and make it easy for your kids. When we work with our kids by making a routine together, we no longer have to be the bad guy. We can get alongside our child and support them to be successful in getting the things done that they need to do. And the beauty of this is because they've written the routine themselves, they're going to be motivated to do it. You are just going to be helping them to do what they've already committed to doing. So you're on the same side, you're not against them saying, do this, do that, do the other. So this is the routine. Hopefully you have downloaded it, and I'm just going to walk through the pages. So on our first page here, we have start your day the right way. I've pitched it for younger kids, but I do actually have a few templates that I've made for older kids too. So if your child is a little old for this, if you're reading it and thinking it's not going to quite work for them, do reach out. I might be able to find you something that is more appropriate that you can adapt for your child. So yeah, just email me, lauren@positivelyparenting.co.uk, and I'll be happy to try and find you something more relevant. So we start with step one. Start by making a list of all the things you need to do in the morning. Write down everything you can think of, e.g. getting dressed, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast. So here they list out all the things that they might need to do in the morning. On our next page, we have the following questions. So how long do you think that's going to take? What time do you need to leave the house? And then time for some extra unexpected surprises, because let's be honest, they always come up, right? So like needing extra cuddles, time to find that lost shoe, etc., etc. And I suggest you give yourself at least 15 minutes for that, possibly more, particularly if you've got multiple kids and there's multiple people who are neurodivergent. And then can you work out what time you need to get up? So we need to work out what time we need to leave the house, how long all the things are going to take, add 15 minutes, and that's your get up time. Then we've got a little dopamine boost here. So great teamwork. You guys are doing an amazing job. You already know what you need to do, how long it will take, and when you need to wake up. To celebrate your hard work, why not give each other a high five, and then take a moment to colour in the high five hand together and draw your wake up time and leaving time on the clocks above as a reward for your teamwork. So what it does here, the whole idea behind all of that, is that you're helping your child figure out the planning processes. It's helping to get those neural pathways working so that they'll be able to do these kinds of things on their own at some point as they get older. And it also walks you through it because it's overwhelming to think about it as a parent, especially with all the other things, as I know. Only too well. Right, step two, time for some problem solving. So here we've got, what parts of the morning do you find tricky? So here are some ideas to get started. You can tick the ones that you find tricky too. So not knowing where or how to start. Feeling too sleepy, not liking how things feel, taste, smell, look, having a hungry tummy, I just want to play, i.e. I need dopamine, I need mummy or daddy or someone else. That might be an indicator to some kind of attachment need there, or needing a little bit more connection with you before doing something. So talk about the things that you find tricky now and write them below. Once we know what they are, we can find some solutions. So again, it's trying to get your child and yourself into that frame of mind that there are going to be solutions. We can do this. Yes, it's normal for there to be tricky things, and there are things we can do about it. It's a really good opportunity to talk to your child about the things that they might not have even really realized are common or normal or are even things, right? So for my kids, for instance, one of my kids is quite good at getting up and getting dressed. She didn't used to be, but she is now. But the reason we got to that point where she could do that was we realized she was really, really hungry. And there was a period of her life, quite a few years, where we needed to leave crackers in her bedroom so that she could start by eating, I think we gave her oatcakes, something nourishing, filling, so she could stabilize her blood sugar so that she could be, it was basically not scream at us, because she didn't want to be behaving in the way that she was behaving. We didn't want her to be behaving in that way either. And nobody quite knew what the solution was. But when we figured out it was food and she needed food first thing, everything changed and we have much better mornings, and she's happier for it because she's not starting the day already feeling like she's being difficult, she's being disruptive, all of that kind of thing. Even, and that, we don't shame her for that, but that's what she's internalizing. So what is the thing going on for your child that makes them want more cookie? Then we've got some ideas for solutions on here. So I've written lots of different things that we might want to use to help our kids. So we've got using a visual schedule to see what we need to do next. Guess what? That's what you're about to create. Feeling hungry, have a healthy and not messy snack ready in your bedroom the night before so you can have it as soon as you wake up. Feeling sleepy, create a super chill bedtime routine to help you sleep better at night. And this is giving your kids the idea that actually they might want to do the bedtime routine to help them so that they can be successful in the morning. It's not because mum and dad have asked them to, it's because it's going to help them. When your kids work these things out for themselves and it's not come from you, it can be really, really powerful. Come up with some fun alerting activities to add to your routine, e.g. star jumps, wheelbarrow walking, racing against a timer. So all of these things are things that we can get our dopamine from. When we look at dopamine, there's normally 4 drivers for how we get motivated as an ADHD. So we've got urgency, we've got novelty, we've got challenge, or we've got interest. If one of those things isn't there, your child is not going to want to do it. So we need to use those sources of motivation within this. Wanting to play. Finish your morning routine quickly and then you have more time to play. You could even add playtime into your routine. The sooner you get everything done, the sooner you can play. And then wanting to be with mummy, daddy, someone else. Now, this is really, really common for our kids, and it can be really irritating when your child's like, oh, I need you to get me dressed. Help me, get me dressed. I don't want to do it on my own. I can't do it. I'm too tired. All of that kind of stuff. That's probably not that they can't get dressed. You know they can get dressed, right? If they've got a friend with them and they're in their room playing dress ups, I bet you they're getting dressed. But when the motivation's not there, when the dopamine's not there, it's hard for them, and we need to believe them about that. And also they may really, really be needing some connection with you. Bedtime, that time when they're asleep, is a disconnection. And Dan Siegel talks about collecting our kids. We need to collect them emotionally after each separation. And although it may not feel like a separation because we've all been asleep, you may be relieved to get a few hours to yourself and then get some sleep if you're getting that. I know we're not all. But that is a moment, a big separation for your child, and it can be really challenging. So we need to collect them emotionally first if we expect them to be able to do things on their own. So when you've got a child going, I can't do it, I need you, mummy, I need you to do it for me, I need you to help me, daddy, then what we need to do is we need to be looking at those 2 things. Do they need dopamine? Do they need connection? Do they need both? And often if you're there in the room with them, providing them with some dopamine, they'll be able to do it on their own. So that's where we might look at challenge or novelty. Urgency is not the best in the morning, although it's the one we tend to draw on because that can make people feel stressed. It fills our bodies with cortisol. It makes going into school a bit harder. So try and use the challenge or novelty ones first. And this morning routine is going to give you novelty, but that novelty is not going to last forever. And I'll come back to that. Okay, so we've got our ideas for solutions. Let's solve this. So we've got time to come up with your solutions. We've given you some ideas, but if you get stuck, but don't forget, you are the expert of you. So you can come up with your best solutions. So basically just write down anything that you think of, that your child thinks of, list them all down, then you can go through them and say, yeah, that's a silly idea of mummy's. Why did I come up with that? Or why did daddy come up with that ridiculous idea? Oh yeah, your idea is a good one. And then you can kind of go through. So throw in some ridiculous ones as well. Maybe we need to get a servant. You need your own personal servant to get you dressed every day. You can have some funny ideas in as well, because this is hard work for your kids, right? This is going to be quite challenging for their brains. They're going to get kind of stuck in, oh my gosh, I don't quite know how to do this. And oh, it's just really too hard. And we're talking about things that I'm not good at and I don't want to do it. And so we need to bring in some fun, some novelty, some challenge, some things to kind of keep them in the zone. So this is where coming up with some silly ideas can be really helpful, because laughter releases anxiety as well. And that also helps with the things, because we're talking about things that are tricky for them. So expect this to not be easy. But it could go really well, and I want you to listen to your child. So even if they come up with ridiculous things, don't be like, no, that's ridiculous, that'll never work. Write it down. And then you can maybe look at, okay, well, yeah, that part of that works, but not sure we're millionaires and we can afford to get a special robot to get you dressed. But I wonder whether we could do it with me pretending to be a robot and coming to chase you. Or maybe we could have a race, that kind of thing. One thing I would say with racing is don't get them to race their sibling. If you get the siblings racing together, you're going to create that sense of competition, and then whoever doesn't win the race is going to feel bad, and the other one might be relying on being the winner always, otherwise they're going to feel bad, and that's going to create you loads more problems. So if you are doing racing, I would suggest you race against a parent or race against a clock or another adult, another person who can understand that the child needs to be the winner. And that's the other thing, always let them win. This isn't the time for kind of growing resilience. And I can almost guarantee you that if you've got a neurodivergent child, they are going to be much more resilient just through life's challenges that are thrown at them. You don't need to create those moments. But that's for another training. Okay, step 4, let's plan our routine. So we've made a sample one to get you started. So I've just suggested some things that you might want to think about. This is actually pretty much the one that my kids do. And then there's space for you to do your own. So you just write down the bits here. And then in here, we've got a box saying my strategy. So that's where you put in the things that you're going to use to make it a bit easier when you get stuck. And finally, now this bit is the bit that most people will leave, but it's probably the most important. Routines never work first time. You are going to need to tweak it. If you expect it to work first time and it doesn't work, and you go, not working, there's no point in doing this, right? We need to tweak and adjust routines. And also with kids with ADHD, or actually adults with ADHD, you need novelty. So you're gonna need to change it up from time to time. So I have created lots of these check-in sheets. So you can, there's loads at the back. So you can print it out once and just keep using them each week. Or you can do what I have done. I've laminated this one, my set list, and I laminated my check-in ones, and we use wipeable markers. So with the wipeable markers, they can tick off what they've done, and then with the check-in ones, we just rub it out each week and start again. So in the check-ins, we write the date up there. So we do this every day. Number of things I did all by myself. So maybe they did on Monday 4 things by themselves. Then the number of things I did the first time I was reminded, maybe 2. Number of things I needed more help with, or I didn't quite get dressed, go downstairs when they were supposed to, or I didn't get their shoes on when they were asked. I needed a bit more help. Maybe that bit got a bit tricky. So we put that bit in there. Things I'm finding hard. So you list in here all the bits that they're needing prompts with. Now notice the language here, things I'm finding hard. It's not things I got wrong, things I didn't do, where mummy had to help me, where daddy had to do something, all these kind of shamey, blamey words that we always use, because let's face it, that's probably the words that we use with us. Things I'm finding hard. It's hard for your kids, and if you use this language with them, they're going to feel understood, and they're going to work with you. And then what still needs problem solving? So, okay, these are things I'm finding hard. So we need to come up with a different strategy, because our strategies didn't work. So we list them there. And then at the end of the week, you might look at, okay, what new strategies can we try? Or even at the end of the day, you can work with this as you want. But this is a really, really helpful tool to help you think about how we can change it up, how we can work with our own systems, our own bodies, our own families, our own unique chaos of life to make things work. And hopefully after 2 or 3 weeks, you will have a routine that works. Now, it's not going to work for your child from now until they're 18. Of course, it's going to need changing. It's going to need adapting. As they get older, they might be able to do this process completely on their own. But this is a really, really good thing to do with your kids from time to time to just help them with that prefrontal cortex growth, those neural pathways being practiced, being strained. All of these things that are hard for our kids are hard because they don't necessarily have the same muscle strength, the same muscle tone, the same neural tone as their peers, right? If they're ADHD, they're like up to 30% behind in all of the sort of executive functioning. So all in the planning, in the motivating ourselves to do things, in our emotional regulation, in our frustration tolerance. All of these things that can get in the way in the morning are much harder for our kids. They're not just being difficult, it's harder for them. But when we practice using these planning skills, when we practice using, and this is the same for you, by the way, if you struggle with this like I do as an ADHD parent, when I practice planning, it's strengthening my muscles. Just like if I'm at the gym and I'm lifting weights, when I'm practicing doing the planning, the forward planning, my brain is getting a little bit stronger. It's getting a little bit more used to doing it. And the next time I try it, it's going to feel a little bit easier. And each time I do it, I get stronger. Now, of course, if I only do it once a year, then I'm not going to get any stronger. But if I practice doing this daily, if I practice creating routines routinely, then it's going to get easier. Now, I'm not suggesting you write a new routine every week. That would be crazy. But think about ways that you can do this problem solving with your child in other areas of life as well. This is sort of loosely based on Dr. Ross Greene's CPS, collaborative problem solving methods. He wrote The Explosive Child, and it's a really good book. I would recommend you read it. If you like this way of working. I always integrate these kind of ideas as well. His premise is kids do well if they can. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. In fact, so much so that I have that printed on all my business cards. We need to trust our kids. We need to work with our kids. But we also need to work with ourselves, our own capacity as parents, and have compassion for ourselves when it goes wrong too. Because let me tell you this, I have done this routine with my child, well, both my kids. And with one of them, it worked for a bit. My other one, who's PDA, resisted it a bit more. We didn't quite get to doing the thing. So I had to come back to it. And I've had to come back to it a few times. And I'm actually going to do this again with my kids for this next half term that we're in at the moment. So we're just about to start the February, coming up after February half term. So yeah, this is something that we need to revisit, and it might not work with your kids right now. So try again. Don't give up. These things can be used, they can be adapted. And as I said, if you've got older kids, I have created for various clients other versions of this. So if you want to reach out, I can help support you with one of them as well. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please share it with others. I'd be really grateful if you could share the initial link that you signed up on, because that means that they will come into my world and I'll be able to help them as well. And do come and join me in my ADHD Parent Village. Come and join me in my membership, Growing Extraordinary Humans. Check out the How Not to F Up Your ADHD Child workshop. I've got lots of other workshops as well, so do get in touch if you need some support or if you need some one-to-one coaching. Take care.